Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. We've been talking about affordable housing in this city for, it seems, many, many years. Of course, deemed a housing crisis as well by Ottawa City Council and many organizations here in Ottawa. And one of the best organizations here in the city that has helped so many find homes and affordable homes, and that is Ottawa Community Housing. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary this year. I'm joined by Stéphane Giguère, the CEO of Ottawa Community Housing. Stéphane, welcome to the show. Wonderful to have you here. And I wonder, there is reason to celebrate. Let's talk about some of those reasons and some of those highlights over the last 20 years.
Thank you, Derek, for having me. It's really awesome to be here. And in terms of key highlights, when you look back, Ottawa Community Housing was about 7,000 homes. Nowadays, we talk about 15,000 homes, 32,000 residents, and we're growing. And I would say, unfortunately, the needs are just also expanding. Affordability is no longer just a question of people with very difficult situations that they are going through their lives. It's also about the missing middle, students coming off of school that they are looking for their first place rental that will be in the 2,000 plus a month, or trying to buy the first home that would be in the 500,000 range. So clearly, affordable housing and social housing is more and more prevalent. And in terms of key milestone, in terms of the operations, if you go back 2002, Ottawa Community Housing was serving different demographics with different needs.
Right.
It was really important to understand that back in those days, we were having families coming over to Canada with 2-3 children. Nowadays, 20 years later, we look at families with siblings of 5, 6, 7 children, and really proud to say that we are one of the only builder in Canada that will be building apartments with 4, 5, 6 bedrooms. And again, to serve those evolving needs that we are seeing across our communities, but also to look at building something that is more sustainable. In fact, Derek, we're building passive house type of new building.
Right.
What it means, because when you look at affordability, we can talk about the rent. It's one thing, but how about utilities? So we have apartments right now with 2 and 3 bedrooms that for $100 a year, so that means about $10 a month, you will be eating your place. So
Wow.
that's also what we provide. This is a new type of build. We invite the population to stop by our new build. In fact, the passive one is at 811 Gladstone, corner of Rochester.
Okay.
More than welcome to stop by and to see for yourself what are those new builds.
Stéphane, what does the waiting list look like at the moment? And for those who are on the waiting list, where do they find themselves? Are we looking at a population that are sharing accommodations? I would imagine some of our homeless population as well. What's the number and who makes up that number?
In Ottawa, there's a waiting list that is managed by an organization called the Registry, and there's about 14,000 people on the waiting list.
Okay.
So it's important to recognize that the families are living in conditions that they are not suitable to their needs. What does it mean? Maybe multiple families in the same apartment, or having an apartment that we call under house, meaning that you may have 6 or 4 children, but in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, something that is not really sustainable for any families and doesn't offer opportunities for the kids to grow. And that's what we realized as soon as the tenants are moving out of where they were in the conditions that they were under. They are very appreciative of what they are finding with Ottawa Community Housing to find that first home or safe home for the conditions and the need that they have at that specific moment.
The federal government's latest budget, Stéphane, spoke about affordable housing and making things more affordable. As an organization, were you encouraged by what you heard from that budget?
As an organization, anytime that we see an investment in affordable housing, we are always encouraged. Why? Because first and foremost, we have a national housing strategy, and I compare notes with my colleagues in the UK or in Australia. And they're still hoping one day to get a national housing strategy, because at least you have that foundational element that help building the future and ensuring that the needs will be served not only for today, but for the next 10, 20 years to come. In terms of the commitment, it's important to understand that it's always long-range type of investment.
Right.
When we start the design process with architects, that we do consultation with our tenants, the communities, it takes about 2 to 3 years to build. So you can imagine that as soon as you go with a mid-rise or a high-rise, as you have showcased today, this is a project that will take about that 3 to 4 years to complete, and then we can welcome the new tenants.
Stéphane, really appreciate you spending time with us today. Thank you so much, and happy anniversary to all of you and your team over there at Ottawa Community Housing.
Thank you to our tenants. Thank you to our staff and the volunteers. 7,000 volunteers in the last 20 years
Amazing.
that came over to help us out. So always appreciative of it.
Excellent. Well said. Thank you again, Stéphane. By the way, we're going to be talking mortgages a little bit later on in the show because the Bank of Canada has a significant rate hike that is set to announce tomorrow. We'll be back with more after this.